it's essentially flavorless. It's all texture, no flavor, for the most part. Right here with the mayonnaise has got good flavor. But this mayonnaise, I'm not much of a mayonnaise guy. This mayonnaise is so good. Alright, so I've got this bowl here of ground beef and homemade mayonnaise that I'll put the recipe up on screen or in the description. I just want to talk about why I've been eating raw meat these past, pretty consistently, I'd say the past month. Inconsistently, I've been dabbling with it for maybe 6 months or so. I'm just going to talk about why I'm doing it, how I feel on it, I guess sort of the logic behind it as well, and then any recommendations for anyone interested in it. Do things at your own risk. So why I'm doing it and the logic behind it. So the first person I saw that was doing this was Joey Schwartz. I think it's his YouTube channel name, Joey Schwartz. And he actually interviewed me about a year ago, a little under a year ago. And I don't even know if he was eating raw meat at the time when he interviewed me, but he was on the carnivore path. I'm definitely not on the carnivore path. Just testing things out, see what feels good. And I saw him and started incorporating like raw eggs, which to me doesn't seem as weird, but raw meat he was doing, and I was like, damn, that's, why? I was questioning, like, why would you do that? Why don't you just cook it? I'd always heard that cooked meat is just fine, which I think it is fine. I still eat. I had basically a cheeseburger with mayonnaise this morning for breakfast, and I just got curious, right? Like the logic behind it is, there's a few points with the logic. There's we never really question cooking our vegetables or cooking fruits, right? If you have a raw fruit salad or a raw vegetable salad, everyone's like, okay, that's normal, right? And with animal products, for some reason, it is questioned, and it's very, very weird. Even raw milk is weird, where if you think about it, it's like, why would milk ever be cooked? Like, why would you ever need to boil milk at like these crazy, ridiculous, ultra-pasteurized temperatures? So I was questioning that. There's also a guy named Augenus Vonderplanitz. I would highly recommend looking into his stuff. A lot of his stuff's been taken down off of YouTube because they don't want you to just learn more, in my opinion. So you can find his stuff on Rumble. I will put his name in the description so you can search it from there. And his logic, and this actually doesn't make sense, and I would encourage you to do this thought experiment, is imagine if you had call it a quarter pound patty of raw beef and cooked beef, right? Just a burger. And you put them both in a container in the refrigerator and just see what happens. Or just put them in the container, leave them at a room temperature, or just put them in a bowl, leave them out. Logically speaking, which one do you think will go bad first? Second question, which one do you think will smell worse when it goes bad? And if you were forced to eat one of the two after, let's say, a week in the fridge, which one would you eat? I know for me, raw one, you can try this experiment, and I'd be willing to bet it'll go this way. The raw one is going to smell less once it's gone bad. It's going to look more appetizing, or I guess less unappetizing than the cooked one. And it's going to last longer in the fridge. The cooked one is going to form that blue, green, fuzzy mold. Same thing goes for milk. If you have pasteurized milk versus raw milk, you leave them both in the fridge for too long, or you leave them both out for too long. The raw one is going to turn into a thick, natural fermented dairy, as opposed to the pasteurized one, it's going to turn into a blue-green sludge that you would need to pay someone thousands of dollars to bet them to drink, or force them to drink, right? So there was that logic. And also just thinking from the perspective why, if we had eaten raw meat before discovering fire for so long, would we have really lost the ability to digest raw meat? And why would we have only lost the ability with meat and not with fruits, not with vegetables? I guess fruits doesn't make as much sense to cook, but why does cooking meat make sense? Why does boiling milk make sense? Why does cooking eggs make sense? I don't know. So that's what got me curious. Then from the actual practical side, from the actionable side, what did I eat first? So I think the first raw meat I had was just little bits of ground beef, which is what I'm having right now. And to be honest, it's essentially flavorless. It's just like eating, it's all texture, no flavor, for the most part. Right here with the mayonnaise has got good flavor. And I was like, okay, I didn't think anything of it. I had like a spoonful of it. Didn't feel bad. Didn't feel good. It's just what it was. Then I just dove deeper into it. I'd had raw organs before. At one point when I was in Portugal, I had a lot of raw beef heart, and my stay at this hostel was wrapping up. I had like a day left. I didn't want to throw it out. So I'm not joking. I ate about 1.5 pounds of raw heart just with salt. Hard to put down, especially the fatty parts. Something about the raw fat was unfamiliar to me at the time. And afterwards, an hour or two later, I was filled with this almost euphoric level of energy that is uncomparable to anything else. And it may have come from the fat. I've heard Joey talk about raw animal fats giving him this sort of euphoric energy. But it could be the meat, because I've experienced it with meat as well, even lean meats. And it had this euphoric energy that was like, I was just walking around the beach in Portugal, like getting sun, feeling incredible. Like no caffeine could do, no drug that I've tried in the past can do, nothing. And that was just my first like, whoa, okay, that's pretty weird. At this point, I was still experimenting with the raw meat. Another thing I noticed is if I am wanting to eat more calories, I'm not necessarily at that stage right now, but it's a lot easier to put down raw calories than it is cooked calories. If I ate a pound of like well-cooked ground beef, like I'm cooking the shit out of that in the pan, as opposed to this is about a half pound, a little under half pound. Or if I even had a full pound, which I do frequently, it feels like nothing. Like I can come home extremely hungry from the beach, I'll eat an entire pound of raw ground beef with some salt, pepper, maybe some egg yolk, and feel amazing. I can just decide like that, okay, I'm gonna go bike and haul ass over the bridge again. And I'm gonna go work out again at the beach. Like I just feel like my body got everything that it needs, but I don't have the fatigue. And for those of you who don't know, I was vegan for 5 years as of a year and a half ago. And it was a complete opposite story then. And I have an entire video I'll link in the description about that story. But it was the complete opposite then. I would eat breakfast and immediately feel like I was just hit with an overdose of melatonin. I needed to take a nap by like 10, 11, and it had affected my life in so many negative ways. My work was the main thing it affected, my workouts were negatively affected, friendships were affected. I was just so tired, so groggy all the time. So that's kind of been my experience with eating raw meat. For those of you that are interested in trying it out, again, this is not any sort of advice, and try everything at your own risk. Personally, I've never had any negative effect from eating any raw animal products ever, even of the lower quality meats, which I don't necessarily recommend and I don't do anymore. But I would buy discounted steaks at an already discounted store and eat them raw with some salt and egg yolks, and I'd be fine. Again, I'm not recommending that for other reasons. There could be toxins in those products. But I would just recommend starting with steak is probably the easiest. Ground beef is a bit of an odd texture because it's already somewhat flavorless. And now you're incorporating this unfamiliar, cold, mushy texture, right? And at this point, it's grown on me. I can eat a whole pound with just some salt and an egg yolk, and it tastes great, and I go about my day. But I would recommend with a steak or maybe a chuck roast, get as high quality as you can. This is not local, but it is grass-fed. It's about half the price of local grass-fed, so it's what I can afford for now. And in terms of flavoring, for the most part, I do salt and egg yolk. In this case, I'll put, again, the mayonnaise recipe in the description. But this mayonnaise, I'm not much of a mayonnaise guy. This mayonnaise is so good. It is 2 egg yolks, maybe, 8 tablespoons of extra virgin organic cold pressed olive oil, salt, lemon juice, honey, and mustard. And you just whip the egg yolks with the oil. I added the salt at that point as well, doesn't really matter. You whip the hell out of that until it's basically mayonnaise. And then you just stir in the mustard, the honey, and the lemon juice, and add black pepper as well. It is so incredible. Like, I'll eat just ground beef and salt just fine, but this takes it to like an incredible level. And if you really wanted to make this like a meal, like a beef tartare thing, I have time. But if I wanted to put more effort into a meal like this, I would probably chop up some sort of steak into small cubes, maybe about 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch cubes. I would do the mayonnaise. I would probably add some sort of allium vegetable, like garlic, shallot, or onions, super finely minced. Some sort of tomato or a red bell pepper would be amazing. And then I think a fresh spritz of citrus on top, and wow, game over. I've been loving this. The mayonnaise is easy to make. I found a little mixer that I was using to mix it up. But yeah, I would, again, this isn't advice. This is just me sitting down, eating my pre-beach snack. I'm going to go to the beach, stare at the sunset, and get a quick handstand session going. But I feel great with this. I would highly recommend trying it out. This is not me saying that raw meat is better in all cases. I think there's a big case for sustainability, not of the planet. That's a whole different topic. Sustainability of the way you eat. Like, if I had to force myself to eat raw meat against my will, even though I told myself it's better for you, it's healthier for you, that's not going to be as good as me eating an 80% cooked diet with a 20% raw diet. For me, at this point, I love the way the raw meat makes me feel. I like the way it tastes when I prepare it correctly. It's convenient. I don't have to cook. I like eat like 2/3 of my meals raw, and it's increasing more and more. I feel great again. It sits well with me. My sleep is great. My energy is great. It's all great. I will say that I am still addicted to caffeine pretty heavily. I'm down to just one large iced coffee a day with loads of heavy cream, no sugar, but I'm getting there. And this definitely is something that adds to the quality of my life. And I think I still have a lot of healing to do in the gut and elsewhere in my body to reach an optimal state of health. But this is one thing that has put me on that path even better. So yeah, this is a lot longer of a video than I thought, but hopefully this gives you some insight into why I'm eating raw, a lot of raw, why it sits well with me, how I do it, how I would recommend you do it if you want to try it at your own risk. And I'll link that video below about my whole vegan story if you're curious into that. And yeah, thanks for watching.